It took Larry Holmes a long time to become heavyweight champion, but once he arrived, he was there with a vengeance. The new champion's first two defenses were walkovers against Alfredo Evangelista and Ozzie Ocasio. Then in Madison Square Garden, against unheralded Mike Weaver, with Holmes debilitated by the flu, it almost all fell apart.
Who's Mike Weaver? You know, no one knows him. ABC turns the fight down because Mike Weaver isn't good enough as a quality opponent. It turns into maybe the pivotal moment of Larry Holmes' title reign. Weaver is beating him up. Weaver's on his way to victory. And then out of nowhere, Larry lands an uppercut in the late rounds and knocks Weaver out. That was the pivotal point because it was only his third defense. If he loses, maybe Don King would have thrown him to the side. Maybe Larry never even gets another title shot for years. Instead, he goes on to make 20 defenses. He easily could have lost that fight in Madison Square Garden. And he showed the heart of a champion, beating a very, very tough Mike Weaver.
Les in it. Next up was a rematch with Ernie Shavers, who had reestablished his credentials with a first-round knockout of Ken Norton. If Holmes' followers expected another easy conquest, they were wrong.
Everyone knew that Ernie Shavers wasn't 1/10 the boxer Larry Holmes was. But he did have that right hand, a right hand that a lot of people, myself included, consider the hardest single punch in boxing history. Larry dominates just as he had dominated Shavers in their first fight before Larry was champion. And then Shavers blasts Larry with one right hand. I guess it was, in 21 years of boxing, the hardest punch I had ever seen landed live.
When I saw Larry get hit, I stood up. I recall standing up saying, the fight is over. I turn around, Larry is pulling himself up from this canvas. I'm saying, holy, ever should his chin be in question, his heart, because nobody would have questioned anyone not getting up from that canvas, asking for some more. When you get up, you gotta realize you're looking to get some more.
Shavers hits Holmes, and you took Larry for dead. There was no way he was getting up. Of course, he got up, didn't lose another second of the fight, ended up stopping Shavers 3-4 rounds later. If anyone had any doubt, lingering doubts about Larry Holmes' heart, that fight dispelled them totally, and you knew you had one of the most courageous fighters of all time.
By 1980, Larry Holmes was the best heavyweight and possibly the best boxer in the world. But a cloud hovered over him. To the public, Muhammad Ali was the only heavyweight who truly mattered. And whatever Larry Holmes did, he would never be Ali. It was no longer enough for Holmes to be heavyweight champion. To silence his critics and gain the public recognition he craved, Holmes would have to conquer the greatest.
The public usually doesn't accept the champion until he's beaten the old champion. Some sort of a ritual, the king is dead, long live the king.
He followed the most charismatic, controversial, popular, loved, hated, prettiest, smartest, most interesting heavyweight champion in history. And he didn't really match up in a lot of those categories.
The fight between Larry and Ali was the hardest thing for him to do because they're very good friends and he didn't want to do it.
It was a money situation, and it was virtually pushed upon him to fight Ali. Ali was a good friend of Larry. Ali helped Larry, and Ali always treated Larry well. But going into the fight, he didn't really want to do it, but it was business. It's Larry's job.
The Holmes-Ali fight was extremely, extremely dramatic. Anything involving Muhammad Ali was going to be dramatic.
4 times champ of the whole world, of all times, Mark, when I say I will destroy Holmes, knock Holmes out.
How do you fight an icon? What do you win out of this?
Larry was the black experience in America more than Ali. Ali came from a home with both his parents, a small home, and was sponsored at first by whites in Louisville, Kentucky. Nobody sponsored Larry Holmes. Daddy left Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes had to make it the best way he could.
No one wants to see Muhammad Ali get hurt. Everybody loves him. So therefore, I know you have these same type of feelings and emotions running through your heart and your head. Now, how are you going to handle that?
Well, Donald, this is one way I look at it. If it was me, would he feel sorry for me?
In many ways, it was a double whammy. One, you had to face the unfairness of just being a black in America that was treated unfairly. And then secondly, you are put under a figure who really didn't go through the hardcore life that you went through.
The press conferences were treacherous. At first, Muhammad Ali was just
Everybody's been talking about Holmes, Holmes, Holmes. Wherever I go, I hear Holmes, Holmes. He's the peanut. because of his head, he's got a peanut-shaped head.
Ali was old, yet the magic was such that there were people who actually thought he had a chance.
Holmes said you're making a date your body can't keep. How do you react to that?
He's supposed to talk. He's proud. He's a champion. He can't act fearful. But now he's worried to death.
There was concern. Because the hype was getting to him.
People was expecting miracles, Ali. I couldn't even train properly in the Caesar's Palace because everybody was there, Ali, Ali, Ali. And especially after he lost all that weight and he was coming down looking good, trim, training shadow boxing, I had no chance. It was all about Ali. It was nothing about Larry Holmes.
We don't knock him out. We go to the decision. We lose. And I don't mean losing as losing the fight. We're going to win the fight. But we lose as an image with Larry Holmes. That's why I didn't want the fight.
When I stepped in the ring with Muhammad Ali, I was shocked to hear the things that Muhammad said to me. Because I never heard him before. All the years that I was with him as a sparring partner, I never heard him curse. And when he's saying all that, like, I'm gonna kick you, so-and-so, I'm gonna knock you out, you ain't this. I was shocked to hear those things coming out of his mouth. I said, oh man, this man's serious.
So then now the bell. And he goes out there, it was history. It was not even a contest.
Muhammad Ali against Larry Holmes wasn't a fight, it was an execution. Ali should never have been allowed in the ring that night.
The fight itself was absolutely horrible to watch. Did Larry Holmes carry Ali is always the question. Clearly you could see, even from a press seat, that Larry Holmes was a torn fighter. Here he was, every competitive instinct the man has says, hit the other guy. That's what you do when you're a fighter. You don't hold back. Yet this was Ali. This was a defenseless Ali.
Ali had the biggest pride. He wouldn't quit. And Larry didn't really want to hurt him.
When Larry would come back, he said, Jesus, Larry, Richie, what do I got to do? I said, we can't let it go to the decision.
And I asked the referee, do I got to kill him to get you to stop the fight? You see he don't got anything. Yeah, I held back on it. Like I said, if it was yesterday I fought him, I wouldn't be saying this today because I never try to take a guy credibility away from him.
Fuck you! No! Stop it! Leave Mark alone! No, stop it! No! Check him out! What you want to do? This game's over! I'm the chief second! All right. I stopped the fight!
Dundee wants to stop the fight.
Finally, after 11 brutal rounds, Ali's trainer, Angelo Dundee, called a halt to the carnage.
Larry cried when this fight was over because he didn't want to hurt him. Never wanted to hurt Ali. He loves that man.
Holmes could have punished Ali worse, but having held Ali in such high esteem, he held back. People who later ostracized Holmes for his bitterness failed to realize just how compassionate Larry Holmes could be.
Right out the dressing room, we went directly to Ali's room, and Ali was laying on the bed. I walked in and said, hey, champ, how you doing, man? He looked up, I gave him a hug, and I said, man, you know I love you, man. And he made me laugh. He says, if you love me, why you beat me up like that? And then, even when I was leaving, he held up and says, I will return. I'll be back. And he held no hard feelings, and he was just a good man. Great.